Good morning. Welcome to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. John Cornell's back from assignment.
I was on assignment.
Shane Matthews on a Thursday edition of the program. And today we're going to have at 8:15 Brent Beaird talking college football. And at 8:30, our guest will be Brad Wilkerson. Maybe the greatest.
Oh, not maybe.
Well, I'm sure some folks will argue with it, but probably the greatest college baseball player ever here at the University of Florida.
Well, certainly here at Florida.
That's what I'm referring to.
Okay. And you know, any guy that can pitch the way he pitched, that can hit the way he hit, who played defense in the outfield like he did.
Well, he was a first baseman.
I'm sorry, first baseman. Why did I think he was in the outfield? Anyway, I've covered the guy. I remember this in the 90s, but he was...
Get it right, JC.
I got to get it right. He was really that good, and I tell you, the guy could hit the ball as far as and as fast as he could throw it.
And he was about your size.
Yeah, he wasn't very, very big. No, you're right. He probably weighed about... 200 pounds and was about 5'8", 9", something like that. And boy, he was really good. Loved watching him play in the pros as well. And I also loved watching Big Red yesterday here in the studio with you in the Crime Prevention Security System studio. Big Red brought us some nice anecdotes and some fun stories. It's always fun to listen to ex-athletes tell stories because those are the kinds of things that the casual listener doesn't get a lot of because maybe they're not friends with you. And so you get to hear some of his experiences and kind of hope to relate to some of the stories that he tells. And I sure did enjoy listening to him yesterday, and I've always liked Jeff. So he thinks he's a good golfer, but he's a much better Ironwood manager, and he's a much better announcer at Gator baseball. One of the things I'll never forget was when he first came on the air, I didn't know it was Jeff. And I thought to myself, whose voice is that? This guy is tremendous. He's got a great radio voice. Certainly a face made for radio and a voice made for radio. We love Big Red listening to him, and I'm very happy for his success at the University of Florida. And all the Gators love him because he's just a real down-to-earth fellow. And it was fun watching you and he yesterday. And certainly hope he comes back and we get as we get through with the baseball season, we're gonna need some Big Red in here.
Absolutely.
Well, at least on the radio or on the phone or something.
Don't forget tomorrow's Valentine's Day, and we have a contest going on at Cloud9 Spa. A Cloud9 gift card is always the right size, and it's calorie free and never expires. This week's prize is a free massage at Cloud9 Spa. Simply go to the website podupwithshane.com. Fill out the contest tab and the more tab and let us know why your wife, girlfriend, or partner should win this prize. So check that out on podupwithshane.com. We'll announce the winner on Monday.
Nice.
So, JC, Gators get a big win last night.
Needed it.
In College Station. Mm-hmm. You know my thoughts on the game?
Let's hear it.
We made shots.
Yeah.
You make shots, you have a chance of winning.
It is.
But I will say this, too. I've talked about it, against our last 5 or 6 opponents.
Yeah.
A&M was not very athletic. They weren't very quick, and they weren't very physical, which usually a Buzz Williams team is physical.
Yeah.
But we made shots, and we were more athletic than the opponent.
Yeah.
So the recipe for success.
Well, and we know why Texas A&M's bringing up the basement in the
They were
SEC.
5-5.
What?
Now they're 5-6 in the league.
5-6. Well, they're in the bottom half.
They were only one game behind us going into the game. We were 6-4.
I thought they were the worst. No, Vanderbilt I know is, but I thought Texas A&M was really
They were 5-5 going into last night.
Okay, well, I stand corrected. I'm glad Florida won. Certainly needed to win, and I really thought they were on the bottom, but
5-5.
Last night though, there were some good games. QB, I loved watching that Alabama-Auburn game. 59 3-point attempts for Alabama, and they made 22 of them. So do your math.
That's 66 points.
Right. So, they scored 91.
Went into overtime. It was a very good game.
And almost pulled it out. And Auburn, I tell you, Auburn is going to be a top 3 or 4 seed if they keep this up, and maybe even a 2 seed. They're that kind of team that has really turned that university into a basketball haven. Bruce Pearl has done one of the best jobs in coaching that I have seen in a long, long time because he really had nothing to work with and has turned this place into a basketball-crazed school. Mm-hmm. You looked at that crowd last night, and you could have thought you were in some ACC or Big Ten arena. And it's hard to win on the road in the ACC or the Big Ten, and it certainly is hard to win at Auburn. And that's what he's created is an identity at home. Auburn University, a school that had zero. I mean, ever since Sonny Smith was there, Auburn has not been very good at basketball. And here they are with 2 losses on the year. And as much as it pains me to say it, I was dying that Alabama didn't hire Bruce Pearl. And instead, the cross-state rival gets Bruce Pearl. And I always liked him. I didn't care about his issues with the NCAA. They were minor as far as I'm concerned. But Auburn University hired him, and they basically have become a basketball powerhouse in such a short period of time. Final 4 appearance last year, probably should have won the game in the semifinal. And, here they are.
Yeah, and what's crazy is the way his kids play. They don't have any, great standout players. He's got a bunch of transfers, guys that transfer from junior colleges. Yeah. They just get after you, and they play reckless, abandoned basketball, and they find ways to win. There's not one 5-star on his team. Not one.
He doesn't need them. The way his team plays.
It's just the way they play. Like I told you, if you watch them, they're not a great basketball skilled team. They find ways to do the little things well. Also last night, some of the big games, Creighton goes on the road and beats Seton Hall. Creighton is a very good basketball team. They'll be about a 5 or 6 seed. As we mentioned,
Seton Hall's good.
Yeah, well, a lot of people think they have a chance to go to the Final Four. Pretty much everybody has a chance to go to the Final Four this year.
No doubt.
Kansas beats West Virginia on the road.
How about Georgia Tech?
Yep, they beat Louisville.
So why is that significant?
I have no idea.
Because they were the 9th-ranked team in the ACC, and they're
at home. ACC stinks.
The ACC stinks?
It's terrible. They have 2 good teams. Well, maybe 3.
No, they have more than 2.
No.
Yeah, they do.
They have 3 ranked teams.
3 ranked teams.
Louisville, Duke, and
Louisville,
FSU.
Duke, and
That's
Florida
it.
State.
That's the only ranked teams they have.
Okay.
ACC's horrible.
They're awful. Well, I don't know. It's just tough to win on the road in that league. I mean, Louisville showed last night. You go down to Georgia Tech and lose by 6. Louisville looked so bad last night, and they just did not even look like they were interested in playing. I mean, how much did you watch?
I didn't watch any of Louisville.
Well, I watched some of it, and you could have fooled me that was the 5th-ranked team in the country, QB. They scored 58 points.
Hey, it happens, man.
I know. It's hard to travel. It's just hard to travel on for so many of these teams. And, here's Kansas, QB. Everybody's talking about, Kansas is down this year. Well, I'm sorry. They've got, 3 losses, and they're ranked number 3 in the country, and they win at West Virginia, which is another hard place to win. So, they bucked the trend in terms of traveling and losing because they won on the road last night. So that's a good win for Kansas.
We're going to go to it's not our play of the day today. It's our player of the day.
Player of the day.
And it's today's play of the day is brought to you by the best restoration, whether flood, fire, or Mother Nature call the Masters of Disaster today. Pop it up on the screen there, Taylor. I'm giving it not a play of the day, but a player of the day.
You got it.
I got it. Spitting it out here. It's Marcus Howard. A lot of people don't know who Marcus Howard. He's the nation's leading scorer at Marquette, but he became the all-time leader in points scoring for the Marquette Golden Eagles. He has 1,408 points, and he will add another couple hundred to that. One of the best pure shooters, point guards I've ever seen play. So pop up Marcus Howard there for a second.
Nova led by 10 with under 2 minutes left. Marquette were on an 8-1 run. Howard knocks down that 3.
Yeah. So that's your nation's leading scorer right there. Marcus Howard.
Never would have known that.
Well, you don't follow sports enough.
I do follow sports, but I don't follow Marquette basketball.
Well, if you follow college basketball, you would have known because he was one of the nation's leading scorers last year.
Well, I'm disappointed in myself for not knowing that Texas A&M was 5-5 last night.
Well, get on the ball. That's what happens when you go on assignment. You forget everything.
Well, listen, real quick, Marquette trivia. What was their former nickname?
Al McGuire. Oh, the Warriors.
Okay, and I was going to say who was their coach.
Yeah.
And you said?
Al McGuire.
That's right. Very good. QB is up to date. All right.
You can't stump me,
I guess
JC.
what I'm saying here, QB, is that Texas A&M is 9th in the league. So they are in the bottom half. And they're deep in the bottom half.
They were 5-5. We were 6-4 entering the game. They were in the middle of the
But they're
pack.
11-12 overall. So they do suck. Okay, they're not good. Nemhart scored 24 last night. They win by 17 on the road in front of maybe 17 people in that arena. Did you see some of that and some of those end zone seats during the free throws? I mean, you could have thrown a dart and hit a seat before you hit a person. At that end, I guess if I was 11 and 12, why would I go to watch those kids play on Wednesday night? I wish, I'm glad for Florida winning.
We got a text on the Titan MRI text line. That number is 353-7465. It comes from Jack. He says, I guess the Mike White talk will quiet down for at least one more game.
Well,
he's not going anywhere, folks.
We've said this how many times on the show?
Well, I mean,
he's here. He's not going anywhere. It's not. They can't afford to pay him. They don't want to pay him. They want him to be the coach. It's that simple. They will let him be the coach, and it's not going to change. The continuity is going to stay there with him, whether they make the tournament or not. I mean, he's not going anywhere.
No, he's not going anywhere at all. JC, you know what's happening Saturday at the O'Connell Center?
Gymnastics.
No, it would be the Gators are playing the Vanderbilt Commodores, and we're naming the court Billy Donovan Court.
I knew that. I was going to let you make that startling announcement.
Well, we made it yesterday.
I heard. And Billy will be there, certainly. And, I think it's an appropriate honor. Certainly the guy is deserving of a court. 2 national championships, multiple NCAA tournament appearances, lots and lots of wins, NBA players everywhere. Many NBA players. So, I'm all for it.
Are you going to the Daytona 500 this weekend?
I hope I don't offend any of our racing fans and enthusiasts.
That's probably how they feel about. That's how they probably feel about your hockey updates.
I would rather push mow Payne Prairie with a snapper than go to the Daytona 500. Now that's not to say
I
it's not
disagree with
good.
that.
Well, you can go then.
I'm just saying. You talk about being there, the excitement, the beer drinking party.
There's 300,000 people there, though.
Trust me,
that's a little bit different.
You would like it. You would like it, JC.
Have you been?
Yes, I've been to races before.
Have you been to the Daytona 500?
Yes, and I've been.
Who won the year you went?
I don't even remember. I don't think I stayed for the whole thing.
Drunk out of your mind?
No.
Well, then how do you not remember?
I just went for the experience, and then, of course, like I do for every sporting event, I leave before the crowd leaves.
You're like my old man. My dad used to do the same thing. Hey, let's beat the traffic.
Yeah.
Let's beat the traffic. Say, Dad, there's 4 minutes left to go. Come on.
Yep, that's me.
Good thing you went. Thank God. I mean, at least you paid for the ticket.
Okay.
Right?
No, I did not. So, also this week, big golf tournament on the PGA Tour, the Genesis at Riviera. JC's golfers he's picked are Phil Mickelson,
winner.
Bubba Watson,
winner.
John Rahm,
winner.
Justin Thomas.
Winner.
I have Brooks Koepka, Justin Rose, Rory McIlroy, and Jason Day.
You went with 3 foreign players and 1 American.
You have 1 foreign player.
And I have 1. That's a great course, man. That's one of their favorite stops before they come to Florida. And there is a hole, I think, on that course, number 10, that even I think you could drive. And it is a tiny little green, par 4. It's about 300 yards. And nobody seems to ever ever hit the green. They're always over here, over there. But they try. They keep trying. But it's a great venue. It's one of the best. It's the one with the clubhouse on the hill on number 18, and it ends the West Coast swing for that tour. And then the following week and for the next month, they are in Florida. And that includes the TPC. It includes the Bay Hill Invitational. That's Arnold Palmer's tournament in Orlando. It includes, of course, the Valspar in Tampa. And then I think we have Doral. Doral, and then the one in Fort Lauderdale, which is Honda, which has had in multiple golf courses, but they've got the Bear Trap, which is, I think, the last 3 or 4 holes on the back 9 that they say is some of the hardest holes you'll ever finish.
It's like the Snake Pit at Copperhead.
The Snake Pit in Tampa, at Copperhead, at Innisbrook, where they will play the Valspar. So I love the Florida swing. It's when I really start thinking about golf, QB, and I start getting excited about the Masters coming in April, of course, and all of the things that go with that. So it's golf season, it's tournament basketball season, it's Gator baseball and softball seasons. Gymnastics is getting ready to go into its postseason, so that's exciting for the gymnastics fans out there that we have. And of course, I love hockey. I mean, just about everybody does, but except you. But
I like watching
can't
the
wait.
playoffs, but I could care less about the regular season.
I'm going to go see Tampa play Philadelphia on Saturday.
Well, good. You give us a report
And
from down there.
I will, and I get to sit on the ice because I got lucky.
Are you going to buy a sweater to wear?
Oh, no, but when I go to Boston to see the Bruins play the Florida Panthers in a month, I will get a Jake DeBrusk jersey, number 74.
Sweater. They're called sweaters,
Sweaters, sure. Jake DeBrusk, number 74 for the Bruins. Bruins, of course, leading the league in points. And then when we go to Dallas to watch them play the San Jose Sharks, I will wear my Jamie Benn sweater, number 14 for the Dallas Stars.
All right. Well, we're going to softball run rules, UNF last night. We're going to take our first time out, come back with Brent Beaird talking college sports. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. The best restoration, masters of disaster.
Bob in trouble, gets rid of it. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker M.M. Parrish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, Union Home Mortgages, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Cold Stone Creamery.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back. Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. John Cornell, Shane Matthews from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We're going to go straight to the Titan MRI hotline.
All right, here we go.
And we're joined by Brent Beaird, college football analyst over there in Jacksonville, college football today, college sports today, and First Coast News of Jacks. He's a Heisman Trophy voter. And Brent, welcome to the program. How are you?
Guys, we're doing well. Good to be on with you. Always things going on in college football. No real games to be played right now until we get spring up and going. But player movement, coaching carousel, things to always keep us busy.
Well, yeah, Brett, and one of the things that I was noticing here recently after recruiting was the coaching changes, and one of whom, Mr. Mel Tucker, initially tells Michigan State no thanks. Then they come back and say, well, we'll double your salary. Talk a little bit about Mel Tucker leaving after abruptly leaving Colorado after saying he would stay, and the fallout, if there's any, for Colorado and what it means for Michigan State, please.
Well, the amazing thing for Mel Tucker is in a span of a little more than a year, he has gone from being the Georgia D coordinator to coaching Colorado and now being in the Big Ten with Michigan State. I mean, that is amazing, frankly, with his job span during that time, guys. I think that's probably what's ticked off Twitter as much as anything else is, as you mentioned, just the promises of being committed and staying the course and so forth. Coaches say that because they're on booster tours, and he had a booster event, and that's where some of this comes out, and that's why people go with him and go critical of him. I think in situations like this, guys, what the NCAA is going to have to do is to come up with a situation. And again, the Big Ten, ironically enough, came up with the idea of giving everyone a basically one free transfer. Does the NCAA adopt this at some point with that going on? I mean, it's a good choice for Michigan State. I mean, I think he will, even though he had a sub 500 record, I think there are a lot of people who like him as a prospective young coach. As far as where that's going, it does leave Colorado in a lurch. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I've seen Alex Grinch's name has been around a bit as the coordinator a while back at Ohio State. And Jim McElwain's name keeps coming up. Jim Leavitt, Butch Jones, some different guys like that. But the guys, it really shows you, doesn't it, the gap between, say, the Pac-12 with Colorado and the Big Ten with Michigan State on what they can pay their coaches.
I was going to say, doesn't it almost create free agency type of market now? I mean, obviously anybody would say, sure, double my salary, I'm coming. And so it puts people in a very difficult position sometimes to try to make everybody happy. What is the solution to this, and are they going to do? I mean, you mentioned the one scholarship or whatnot, but is there any other idea that we can have to kind of protect the property somewhat, if there is?
I'll be frank with you. With the market the way it is, and coaches getting more and more money, I don't. At this point, I don't know how that can be done. I mean, when you're basically going from making $3 million, which we would all take, to making 5.5. Sure. I mean, a lot of people would say that's just money you can't turn down. But again, I think the thing that bugs people about this, or coaches making all the promises in that they just got through with recruiting and wanting kids to be committed, wanting kids to stand by their word, and then they see just the opposite from the coaches. But they now maybe as far as the kids are concerned, I don't know if you can do anything for the coaches, guys, but as far as the kids in situations like this, you need to be able to free them from their commitment if they want to go and play somewhere else.
Brent, jumping to the SEC, Alabama lost a couple coaches, gained a few coaches. Talk about what's going on in Tuscaloosa.
I think one thing, non-coach related, Bryce Young, their heralded recruit from the state of California, has come in, already gained about 10, 15 pounds. Oh. He's a midterm enrollee, so that didn't take very long. But look, when you get with a good weight training program and nutrition, that can happen. As far as the staff is concerned, Brian Baker is going to the Colts. Freddie Roach, you guys probably remember, played at Alabama as a linebacker, is now back or as far as a defensive line coach, or at least I think that's what it may end up being. They may move him to linebackers. That's yet to be kind of determined with that. And I think there's some other moves on this Alabama staff that people think that might still come. There's still some grumbling about some of the defensive staff, particularly with Pete Golding as the D coordinator. Will he stay or will he go? He's still there at this point. Recruiting now, signing day over. Will Nick Saban still make some moves? And I still think that may be possible.
Brent, Dan Mullen made a really good hire apparently with Tim Brewster. Can you talk about what type of recruiter he is?
I think this was brilliant, frankly, guys. I think Mullen needed a guy that was your typical signing day closer type guy, and that may be Brewster. Brewster's got a real reputation wherever he's gone, and he was at FSU, and then he was at North Carolina for being able to do that. So this is a great pickup in addition for Dan Mullen in Florida.
Brent, Florida, in all of these schools, a lot of schools are trying to get some home and homes locked up for the future schedules. And I've noticed where you've said in your notes, and we heard the other day, that they've now announced that the University of California and Florida will play in the middle of the decade in 2026-27. I guess I get excited when I see these matchups, but how do I mean, my enthusiasm seems somewhat tempered by the fact that it's so far away that I don't even know if I'm going to be alive in 2026 or 20. So tell me.
We don't know what we're going to be doing tomorrow.
Right.
In 26 and 27, do we, guys?
Yeah, it's almost like you anticipated what I was going to say. Yeah.
But I think the important thing about this is the home and home. It beefs up the schedule. I think ADs and coaches realize they've got to be able to do this, particularly with expanding the playoffs. I mean, Berkeley's look. If you're a Gator fan, that's a nice trip for one thing. But you're seeing more and more home and home, which is important, frankly. Now, but you still get some of these situations that are interesting. For instance, guys, to compare here, Florida State and LSU announced this week that they have got a series, not home and home, but one of the games is going to be in New Orleans, and then the following year it's going to be in Orlando. So I prefer home and home, but yet when you think about it, guys, in terms of recruiting particularly for New Orleans, it's almost a home game, and literally is for LSU. And you could probably make the same analogy for FSU, but I do prefer the home and home.
LSU is bringing in Scott Linehan. He's got a big NFL pedigree. Brent, what does he mean to LSU's replacing Joe Brady? And this is the second big name that's come in now for LSU. Talk a little bit about them.
He has gotten some criticism because Scott has been in a lot of different NFL teams. He hasn't coached college ball in a while. So how will that work? Will he mesh with Steve Ensminger the way that Joe Brady did? But I tell you guys, when you lose all the talent, Joe Burrow, then you talk about Justin Jefferson, the running backs, what they lost, they almost can't help but take a step back from where they were last year and being so proficient offensively. But Orgeron wanted to go the NFL route. And that's what he decided to do. But it would be just interesting to see if they're able to mesh anywhere near what they were last year.
Brent, excuse me, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's made some additions to his staff. Tell us who those folks are.
Yeah, Lane is, I think so far, has done a nice job here. And he's bringing in Devin Bush Sr. as a new recruiting coordinator. A lot of and we thought this would happen at some point, didn't we, guys? Monty Kiffin, his dad's coming in. Of course, look, anytime you have Monty Kiffin on the staff, you've got to be able to do that. So they are getting ready, and again, it's going to be fascinating, guys. Frankly, to be able to see what they're going to do. They did not do as well as they wanted to in recruiting. Kiffin knew that he was behind the eight ball in looking for a much better class coming up. So I think not only is he getting ready to get his staff together, and he's just about done that, but I think his focus also is we've got to get better at getting the word out, meeting these kids, and you'll see a much better recruiting class for them next year.
We're speaking with Brent Beaird from College Sports Today over in Jacksonville, talking college football.
Yeah, I am amazed, Brent, at what I just read in your notes about Clemson paying the coordinator $5 million. Is it almost better to be a coordinator in today's game and have one responsibility and make almost as much as the head coach, you think?
Things have changed considerably. There's no doubt. I mean, that see the coordinator money now. Look, that's like Bo Pelini leaving Youngstown State to come to LSU. And that's one of the things that you're going to get. Tony Elliott, 3 years, $5.1 million is frankly amazing. He's got a $600,000 raise, going to be making $1.7 million. And listen, guys, there's no doubt some of these coordinators now can make more than head coaches on different levels. Elliott's done a nice job with that, and he is now being rewarded. He stayed in the same place for quite a period of time, and it's just an example of how well the Clemson has done over the last few years.
Brent, Will Muschamp looks like he's making some more changes to his staff.
Yeah, they've had all kinds of stuff that have happened as far as guys coming and going with that staff too. Tracy Rocker, you remember the tremendous defensive lineman at Auburn. He's been at several schools, coming from Tennessee to South Carolina. And he has some guys that are coming. He also has some guys who are going to be going. Also, at this point, Brian McClendon is expected to be on with the Pittsburgh Steelers staff. Maybe the best thing that happened to them guys was that Jordan Birch finally made up his mind to sign with him. He's a 5-star defensive tackle, which is something that they really needed at this point too. So, and again, we can't forget that to me the biggest get for Will Muschamp is Mike Bobo coming over and being his offensive coordinator. I think that could help Will as much as anything else.
Brent, Florida State, new coach, new outlook on things. And what I noticed was their schedule, significant non-conference games, and not, we don't have to wait 8 years to see the games. Talk about what they've got coming up at Florida State with their schedule, which I certainly think has to make some of these season ticket holders happy, considering they play in a conference that a lot of these games just aren't that entertaining. So I talk about Florida State for a moment, if you would.
Well, in some of the teams that they're playing, West Virginia and Atlanta, they've got a return trip to Boise, Notre Dame in 2022. We mentioned the LSU series already. And they've got a game with Alabama coming up in the middle of the decade. Notre Dame, Georgia. Look, they have beefed up the schedule, and guys, if Norvell really does well as we think that he could do. And by the way, he just got a Rivals 100 linebacker, Brandon Jennings, out of Sandalwood here in Jacksonville. That could be very exciting. Their off-season program's going well. People think he's hired a pretty good staff. So far, things are pretty positive. And Tallahassee, something they haven't been over the last few years.
Brent, final thing before we let you go. We got a text here for you from Lee. He says, ask Brent his thoughts about the XFL.
Oh.
Well, look, I'm open to that right now. I think the kickoff stuff's fairly exciting, and to just kind of some of the new rules that have been going on. It's nice to see these guys be able to extend their career. They've got to work some bugs out. Some of the teams have already changed quarterbacks and things of that nature. So it certainly gives us something to watch along with hoops at this point. Now this is discussion for another day, but guys, I still think on down the line that there's still people here that have raised the question for the non-Power 5 schools and conferences, would they be better off going to a spring situation and having their own playoffs? So look, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I hear more and more, guys, of that being discussed over the last few months than we ever have.
Wow,
well, Brent,
that's something there.
We appreciate you joining the program. We'll talk to you soon, buddy. Have a good day.
Yeah, Brent, thanks, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Okay?
That's Brent Beaird over in Jacksonville. Remember, folks, Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Nike, Palmetto Moon, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate. We're going to take is this our first or second time? Second time out. We're going to come back. We're going to have Gator great Brad Wilkerson. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. The best restoration, masters of disaster.
Bob in trouble, gets over. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, Union Home Mortgages, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Cold Stone Creamery.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. John Cornell, Shane Matthews, JC and the QB. Joining you, we're going to go straight to the Titan MRI hotline, and we're joined by probably the greatest player in the history of Gator baseball to put on the spikes, UF Hall of Famer Brad Wilkerson. Brad, welcome to the program. How are you, my man?
I'm doing good, Shane. How are you guys doing this morning?
We're doing great. Hey, we appreciate you joining the program. Just want to talk a little bit about Gator baseball. Obviously, this year's an important year for Kevin O'Sullivan. They kind of had a somewhat disappointing year last year. But what are your thoughts? You know, I'll get into, because McKeithen Stadium, this is the end of it. But first, I want to talk a little Major League Baseball. You know, your first round pick of the Montreal Expos. I got a text here because we promoted you being on the show, and the text came from George. He wants to know what it was like playing for the Montreal Expos.
Yeah, baby. Montreal Olympic Stadium.
Yeah, it was a treat. I mean, it was definitely ups and downs. I feel grateful that Montreal gave me my first opportunity to break through at the big league level and through the minor leagues, and it was a great experience. And, you know, going through all the ups and downs with Major League Baseball owning the team and, you know, those kind of things, the playing of it was, you know, somewhat different than probably some other clubs that I played for. But, you know, being there and just being young and being a part of the city of Montreal was a great experience.
Brad, you grew up in, I guess, Kentucky. Is that correct?
Yes.
Kentucky. So how did Florida find you, or how did you find Florida? And give us a little bit of background on how you became a Gator, and when you did, what made you like the place so much and become what you became at Florida?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a long, short story. It was kind of a friend of a friend that ran into Coach Lopez at a scouting event that kind of recommended me late in the recruiting process. And they called me and offered me a visit. And I went down. I think you can ask Coach Lopez this. They never saw me play baseball, and they offered me a scholarship. So it was kind of sight unseen. Kind of a rare thing. I ended up going down to Gainesville on a Monday visit. Drove down because I was out of official visits. I drove all the way from Kentucky to make that visit. My host that night, I remember, was Andrew Check. It's now the coach at UC Santa Barbara. And
wow.
It was kind of, I had a little press conference that next Tuesday at my high school. And when I went to it, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. It's kind of crazy. And I kind of, just kind of guessed at it.
Well,
and
I just think it's fascinating that, somebody from Kentucky found his way to Florida on an unannounced or unofficial visit, I guess. And all of a sudden, you're a Gator. And when we covered you, I used to work at TV20, and we used to cover you, and I used to marvel at how good you were at two separate things. You were good at hitting, and you were really good at pitching. And that is rare. So what was your favorite thing to do? Was it to strike out somebody or jack one over the right field fence and circle the bases? What did you like better?
I hope I didn't lose you.
Oh, you're there. You're here.
There? Go ahead, Brad. Brad? Well.
Did I lose you?
We got you now. You're back.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I think it's just being in the moment. Just being in that clutch situation, whether it's closing a game out or being in that clutch situation when you're coming up the bat. I just love the competition side of things and just wanted to be that guy that, I wasn't afraid to get in there and when the game was on the line and, be the leader in that aspect of it for our team.
Did you know, JC, did you know that Wilkerson was the first player in college baseball history to hit 20 home runs, steal 20 bases,
and strike out,
and win 10 games as a pitcher? Has anybody else done that, Brad, that you know of?
No.
You're still the only guy.
I just saw it the other day. Nobody's done it yet. So.
Well, so let me ask you this, Brett, as a pitcher, because I appreciate pitching. And so you say you pitch, all right, then they typically like to rest you because of your arm and all this. You come back and play defense at first base. So, and then you hit. Did you ever have any issues with your health? Did that ever slow you down, or did it just become so normal to you that it was just it was just regular for you to play like that?
It's funny you asked that. The only health problem I had was when I was in tennis class freshman year, and I had shoulder from serving, and they kind of yanked me from that pretty quick. And I came and said, God, my shoulder's hurting from serving in class. Never much issue as far as baseball and the use of my arm. And, I really try to take care, and the staff there really did a good job of keeping our bodies healthy, strong. And, to be honest, I never lifted a weight till I got to the University of Florida. I remember coming out of the weight room, and trying to walk up the ramp to the academic center the first week, and I couldn't make it. I had to go a different route. So it was a rough first couple of weeks for me as far as the weight training is concerned.
We're speaking with Brad Wilkerson on the Titan MRI hotline. He was first-round pick of the Montreal Expos. He was also the last player in Expos history, JC, because I know you love the Expos.
I do love the Expos.
Last player to ever hit a home run for them.
Last player ever?
Yep.
See, I love the Expos because of how odd it was to play in that Olympic stadium, but I will go to my grave by saying that before the strike, they were the best team in baseball. They certainly were. And now, I guess, they're the Nationals.
Yeah, they are.
And
the
they
Nationals.
have a World Series.
Hey, Brad, talk a little bit about, because you won a gold medal over in the Sydney Olympics. How was that?
It was awesome. It was I always say this. Everybody asks me how it was. I say it was the ultimate team experience because you're wearing the flag on your shirt. You're wearing USA on your shirt. Yeah. It's just the ultimate team experience. There's no individual accolades. The only goal we had was to win that gold medal and bring it back for our country. Being a little bit of an underdog against that tough Cuban team, we kind of upset them at the end. And, a great pitching performance by Ben Sheets. And, it was a great team to be a part of and a great experience to just – I went to a lot of events because I'm a big sports fan, so I went to a lot of different events, badminton, track and field, swimming, all these different events, handball. I remember, obviously, I went to basketball games because that was – I don't know if that was the first dream team or the second one. I think it was the second one, but it was awesome to go watch those guys play and all the other athletes compete as well.
Brad, how much Florida baseball do you watch now? Are you a big fan? You watch a lot of it?
Big time.
So,
I follow those guys a lot.
So what do you like most about how Kevin O'Sullivan has directed the program, and what do you think you would like to see more of or that they could do better going forward?
That's a tough question. I think that he's done an unbelievable job, and I think to his leadership, but I feel like the other coaches and him are kind of a three-headed monster, and not the, Lars, the volunteer coach, he recruits every once in a while in the summer when guys can't go out. But basically that three-headed monster that, gets out there and recruits and bring those guys in, and then they develop it. The biggest key for him is he goes out and gets elite talent every year. He's top 3 to 5 recruiting classes. And then that's one thing, but then they bring them on campus and they know how to develop them. I've seen body transformations on kids that I've been involved in, like right away. One semester, they're losing 20 pounds and the body fat's going down and they're getting stronger. How to really develop those kids, and it's carrying over to on the field.
It absolutely does. And next year after this, we're going to have a new stadium. So I'm sure you're going to make a couple trips down, right?
Of course. I've seen it. Probably have in 3 months. I would guess sometime during football season. Can't remember when it was exactly, but I went over to the stadium and it's coming along nicely. It's going to be an unbelievable facility, and I'm a little disappointed that McKeithen's going down, but obviously with the arms race with the facilities in the SEC, it's time for Florida to step it up, and I think they're stepping up big time with this baseball facility.
Speaking of the new facility, we got a text here on the Titan MRI text line for Frank. He wanted to know, Brad, what is your best moment at McKeithen Stadium and also your best moment as a Gator that may not have occurred at McKeithen Stadium?
God, there were so many great memories at McKeithen. I mean, I would have to say that freshman year, when we were down and out to South Florida in the regional, back when there was a 4-team regional, I think, or a 6-team regional, sorry, and you had to win to go. There wasn't a super regional. They had us on the ropes.
That's right.
I went in and I came in and threw 4 innings. I think there was a guy in scoring position every inning from 9 through 13 or whatever it was. It was a stressful, and it was kind of like a winner or go home kind of deal. It was a championship of the winner's bracket. So if you lose that game, you have to come back and, obviously win 3 games with less pitching, and it's just a tough thing to do. Some great plays being made behind me. I remember John Tamargo coming in on a bunt, and he backflipped it to third base to Mark Ellis to force a guy out. I remember that to this day. And that game always resonates for me as the most important game I ever played there, because that's what basically got us to the first College World Series. As far as away from McKeithen, definitely the, Florida State game on my birthday in the World Series that same year.
Oh, yeah.
The Grand Slam?
Grand Slam, and then coming in and closing the game out.
I was there. Brad, before we let you go, we're speaking with Brad Wilkerson, Gator legend in baseball, and I was going to get your take on the latest thing in Major League Baseball with the Houston Astros and what has happened, and what do you feel as a former player what was that? How did you feel about that?
How did I know this question was going to occur today?
Well, only because you're a major leaguer, and so I have to hear from what a major leaguer said.
At the end of the day, Major League Baseball has done a terrific job of kind of protecting these players.
Yeah.
I think ultimately there's something going to come down on the players, some kind of penalty. I don't know what it is going to be. I've heard the likes of Hank Aaron come out and say they should be banned for life, and I don't agree with that. I think they need to have a penalty, and it needs to be somewhat severe, but I think we need to all, after spring training this season, put it behind us and move on, because the game is in great hands. The game is moving forward. There's a lot of great players out there, and every year it seems like the playoffs are the best thing going, and we just need to find a way to put it behind us and move on.
Brad, we got a Facebook Live question here, and I think he is correct. Weren't you the first national to hit a home run?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
you're the first of a lot of things, my man.
And the last one to get a hit for the Expos.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's like I was watching Miracle the other night. All great moments come from great opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think the timing of all that for me being the last Expo and being the first national kind of thing, the timing of it kind of, hitting the cycle, the second game of Nationals history, first hit because I led off the game, like all that stuff has to do with a lot of it timing. And I feel grateful that I had all those opportunities, but it was a lot to do with timing of it.
Let everyone know what you're doing now down there in South Florida.
Well, right now I'm kind of just I'm coaching a little bit on the youth level. Trying to figure out, I love the coaching part of it. I've been consulting for an agency in the baseball world a little bit. So I'm working with a lot of guys, trying to help them through the draft and get on their way, through the minor leagues and hopefully, fulfill their dream being a Major League Baseball player, and really just hanging out with the family and coaching my kids a lot and being an Uber driver.
Yeah. How's that golf game?
Well, it was good, to be honest.
It's tough.
And then I haven't taken my clubs. I have a golf trip every year. I go on, some Florida baseball guys go on it. And November 5th was our day we got back, and my clubs haven't came out of the travel bag since then. So I've been really busy, and it hurts me to be living down here in the sunshine and not be able to play golf.
Yeah. Well, I had Cardozo on the show yesterday. He said he was a much better athlete than you.
Probably.
Yeah.
We know that's a lie.
Well, he thinks he is. Hey, Brad, great talking to you today, and continued success with what you're doing down there. Maybe we'll catch you at a ball game up here in Gainesville.
I appreciate it, guys. Go Gators this year.
All right, Brad. That's Brad Wilkerson, UF Hall of Famer, longtime Major League guy.
He was so good.
Man, he was good.
I mean, he was so good. But, I sensed a little uneasiness with the Astros question, and the only thing I would say about that in terms of the players is just remember this. If you're a Dodgers fan, you really don't have any sympathy. And Clayton Kershaw, he got racked in those games, and maybe it had something to do with the fact that they knew what was coming. Mm-hmm. And I just got to think about those players too, QB. The Dodgers are saying, we're the world champions. We're the world champions. They cheated. So, and I get it. Some of the players weren't really there or involved in the exact scheming of it. And the people who were, of course, are gone now. The manager, the general manager, and maybe the people out there doing the mechanics and the technology. But the Dodgers have a gripe, and the Dodgers, they knew what was coming from Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers, and it's just wrong.
It is wrong because there's always sign stealing's always been part of baseball.
Okay, I can. If you can do it, if you're smart enough to do that, fine.
Right. I mean, basically what these guys were doing, it would be like me
technology.
Or someone having a computer chip in the headset of the opposing coach calling the plays, and you knowing their system, and then somehow know what play is coming.
Right. Yeah, that's just not right. And now, I mean, if you're smart enough to figure out what they're saying over there, great. But if you're trying to intentionally jig up or rig up a way to steal what they're doing. And again, I get what Brad's saying with those Astro players, but I'm also thinking of the Dodger players. So at that rate, this guy was so darn good. I just loved covering him.
You forget how good he was.
I do, but I remember, though, because that's when I was covering him and watching those video clips and cutting those video clips and editing them and putting them to the highlight reel that we used to do back in the day. And man, he was everywhere. He was everywhere. He made it so easy to do a 45-second voiceover of Gator baseball highlights because, well, there was a home run, or there was a strikeout with a man on third, or there was a hit and run play, or there was a pickoff. Anything that he was involved in sure made it easy to show Florida highlights.
But I mean, think about what he talked about. He hit a grand slam in the College World Series against Florida State, then came and closed the game out. Then you're the first player, the last player to hit a home run for the Montreal Expos. You're the first player to hit a home run for the Washington Nationals. You're the first player to hit for a cycle for the Nationals.
Is everything, isn't it? QB.
He won a gold medal in the Sydney Olympics
in Australia, a cool place. So, QB, how would you, make the analogy to football with what maybe he did in that Florida State game? What would that be like for a quarterback in a football game? What would be the same type of accomplishment?
I don't know if you can, because it'd be like the quarterback throwing multiple touchdowns
and then picking off a pass.
But yeah, either having a pick six,
right, playing
or making a sack fumble.
Being a two-way player or something like that is what we're talking about here, because pitching and hitting.
He was a three-way player, really.
Yeah, he really was. And that is just extremely rare, and I don't think you'll see that anymore. You won't see that.
You know what I should have asked him? I meant
to
ask him about him coaching youth guys and mentoring and them, because not many guys are like him these days. Everybody wants to specialize. I'm a pitcher. That's all I'm going to do.
That's all I'm going to do.
I think that's a lost art. The more you can do, the better.
It's just like we always encourage, Shane and I as parents, we always encouraged our kids to play more than one sport. We wanted them to play something in the fall, maybe something in the spring, and play different sports. I mean,
absolutely. The more sports, the better. And if anybody's listening that has little kids out there and you want to make your guy specifically a pitcher or just a quarterback,
change your mind.
Yes. The more sports they play, the better.
Well, it's true. I mean, they just get better at everything when they do more things. So, I agree.
Well, we want to thank Brent Beaird.
Yeah.
We want to thank Brad Wilkerson for joining the program today.
Went
very fast today. Today's show's a wrap. Brought to you by WrapSpot. A vehicle wrap from WrapSpot will give your business years of brand recognition and increased sales. Call WrapSpot today. We should have Chris Harry talking Billy Donovan Court tomorrow and Gator basketball.
All right.
Have a good day.